Hello, everybody. October 16th. Hope everybody's doing well. A couple other older messages, and then a couple things about the Bible. Discuss. This is number 79, again within the first year. Agony befalls all who flee. God's grace is given for free. Worshipping false idols of power and wealth. Sacrificing all care for spiritual health. Blindly they pursue a selfish road, turning away from what was bestowed. Can't they see that time draws near when all will be made oh so clear? Put things in order, don't cast aside. What's important won't be able to hide. Darkness descends like setting fog through the days and nights, multi-headed dog. Unaware as many he shall ensnare. Who they are, he shall not care. Take no care for the trappings of this life, for they will cause endless strife. Okay, line by line. Agony befalls all who flee. God's grace is given for free. When you turn away from God's grace, everything of God is free. When we seek so many things that cost money, or time, or energy, or soul, but everything He's given for free. When we turn from it, agony befalls us. Worshipping false idols of power and wealth, sacrificing all care for spiritual health, instead of seeking everything of the physical. See, our desires of the flesh, lusts of the flesh. Again, on the surface, those who see things from a physical perspective, they're thinking the body. Now, the flesh is life, is the world we live in. That's the flesh. You seek the desires and lust after things of this world, you're going to suffer. What does He say? I'll give you the desires of your heart. Satisfy the desires of your heart. That's where your spirit lies. Desires of your spirit, your soul. Don't confuse the desires of your heart with the desires of your mind and your body. Blindly they pursue a selfish road, turning away from what was bestowed. Can't they see that time draws near when all will be made oh so clear? Put things in order. Don't cast aside what's important. You won't be able to hide. The darkness descends like setting fog through the days and nights, a multi-headed dog, which comes from hell. Unaware as many, he, the devil, shall ensnare. He's doing all the time. Just because you think you go to church, or you stand and listen to somebody talking about God and all their finery in a big church, think you're protected? Think just because you do that, you're going to heaven? Guess again, Sherlock. Who they are, he shall not care. They don't care who you are, or what you are. Take no care for the trappings of this life, for they will cause endless, eternal strife. So be careful. Be careful. Speaking of churches, positive, negative, old, new, enabling. Churches talk, especially these non-denominational ones that draw so many people, they talk all the good talk, the honey-coated words, which these messages warn endlessly about. Talk all the good things. God is all loving and all grace, and praise Jesus, and all this uplifting singing and everything, and that's all well and good. He is that. But there's more to it than that. There is hardship, there is tests, there is trials, there is seriousness to this. And there is evil and darkness out there you've got to be aware of. So true church is going to focus on the negative stuff too, that you need to be on guard for, that you need to be aware of, that you're going to be caught up in because you're human. And focus on the Old Testament as well as the New Testament. Now the Catholic Church does it, they read from the Old and the New well, but they're all related. What's in the Old Testament all relates to what's going on now too. So a lot of these churches basically are enablers. They enable. They tell you all this good stuff because they know that's what you want to hear. They enable and say, hey, it's okay to especially these ones that preach prosperity theology. That, yeah, it's okay to go out there and get rich. It's okay to get bigger and better and this and that, house, car, you name it, to make more money. It's okay to do that. No, it's not. The best way to make sure you're in the right place, and again, You do not need to go to church. See, I've always said that I'm not going to tell you to not go to a church. If you feel you need to go to church, okay, great. And a lot of people are not going to like this, but you're better off not going to a church. Have that one-on-one, and I've said this, have that one-on-one relationship with Him. One-on-one, to learn from the source, not through somebody else. Don't even learn through me. Learn through somebody else. I'd rather you not listen to me or read anything or go to church. Just communicate with Him. You want to learn about Him? He's the source. Learn from Him. You're not going to learn more about Him from anybody else but Him. So learn from Him. These churches want to enable you so that you will keep coming back. Why? You keep giving them money. That's why. And they'll build a bigger church or a newer church. Why? All they got to do is add on another service. You have service after service after service all day Sunday. Why build a bigger church? Don't need it. You don't even need to go in a building. Have it outside. It says, wherever two or more of my people are gathered, there so four am I. Get together, have a nice time out in the park. Hey, here's our church. Let's talk about God. So whenever you're going to listen to somebody talk about God, you're going to go to a place to hear them talk about God, always compare them to Jesus. How He lived, how He looked, how He taught, how He was born, how He died. All humility. Had the clothes on His back. He was homeless. He ate off the land, what was offered to Him. Drank from the springs of what was offered to Him. Had one pair of sandals. Traveled by foot. Didn't have fancy hair. It was oiled down. It was long. He was unshaven, which was that was the culture. He taught simply and humbly and truthfully. He was born in a straw baby crib in a manger in a cave or grotto in Bethlehem, which was considered at that time to be basically the asshole, the backwater of that part of the world. In all solitude and peace and quiet and hush-hush, humbly. He was conceived in humility. She just bowed down. I'm just your humble servant. I'm nobody, Lord, but I accept thy will. Humbly conceived. Humbly carried throughout pregnancy. Look what she endured. Oh, she's unmarried. Oh my God, the scorn. Humbly born in place, in time. Everybody's looking for, like they are today, and always were, looking for, a big golden crown on a fancy chariot and an army behind his back. That's how the Messiah, that's how the Lord's supposed to come. And that's how people are expecting him this time. No. Humble. Came humble. Before humble people, simple people, shepherds. Except for the three magi. They have a special reason for them. Lived humbly, raised humbly, lived humbly. A carpenter's son. Went off in the desert. Prepared himself humbly. Baptized humbly. Like, shh. Don't let people know till it's time. Healed humbly. Taught humbly. Lived humbly. Suffered humbly. Alone. Paul's like, no, stay away. Died humbly. Rose again humbly. Shh. Only a few saw observe that. And ascended humbly. The apostles. All humility. So if somebody's saying, oh, I represent God, they're talking to me, talking about God, and they ain't anything like that, then you should be running as fast as you can in the opposite direction. Because God's far from that. And how did he say so? I am the way. No one gets to the Father except through me. Come to me as little children. Little children. Pure, humble, meek, simple. Naked. How was man created? Naked. How babe was coming into the world? Naked. Humble. So if somebody's talking to you about that, about him, about God, calling you to come forth, to share in God, and they ain't anything like Jesus, they're false. Guess what? Most churches and those who preach about God are false. They may not even realize it. They may think they're doing good because they're manipulated by the devil, manipulate like ventriloquists. So be on guard. Compare people, compare churches, to God's true church is inside you, to get to Jesus himself. It says, here is an example of what I want you to be, to strive to be. These people say the representative, look at the Catholic faith. So God's representative on earth, the Pope. Look how he lives. You tell me that God's representative? Who is his greatest representative on earth? Jesus. God himself in human form. How he lived. And that this person is living like that? Really? How blind can you be? So, I want to talk about that a little bit longer than I wanted to. Again, I mentioned this before too, about the veil. Back then, and throughout, even after that, you wanted to communicate with God, you had to go through a priest, an intermediary. Give us, okay, we'll offer your petitions, your prayers, and we'll tell you what he says. We'll tell you what he says. Really? But give us some money, which the churches do today. Give us some of your crops. Give us some of your property. Give us some of your sheep, a lamb, a goat, whatever. And we'll petition. Same thing with confessions in the Catholic Church. Confess to us, and we'll tell you what you need to do, and God will forgive you. Bullshit. You don't need that intermediary. God is within you. You're connected to him all the time. That bond of light, that cord of light. That's why they said he tore the veil. Where was the veil? The veil was in the temple, separated the Holy of Holies from us. Jesus died on the cross. Took our sins, took everything upon himself. That moment in time, that veil was torn. Right there, God's saying, it's gone. There's nothing more between me and you. You don't need these intermediaries. Me and you, face to face, voice to voice. Talk to me. I'm right here. You don't need anybody in between. That's what that meant. But it's your choice. You want to continue to go to church? That's fine. It's your choice. I'm not going to condemn you for it. He's not going to condemn you for it. But be on guard. I'm going to go, for community. Well, you can get involved in community without going to church. Go down to the food shelter. Go help the homeless. Go help the needy. Go help the children. Go help the disabled. So many things you can do. Go help a pet shelter. So many things you can do. That's community. All those ones that go off for community and they go to be with church for community, but then they don't do anything else. They don't do any of that stuff. They go home out to the fancy cars. They go home to the big houses. They go home with their fancy lives and don't even have nothing to do with God the rest of the day, the rest of the week. And they think they're going to heaven? Or they just say, well, I believe in God. That's it? You're not going. Sorry. Many think they'll be taken, but they will not. He warned us of that. He told us that. Many think they shall pass, but they will not. Many are called, but few answer. He's warned us about all this stuff. He's told us. People, same as they've always been. Same as they've always been. So that veil is gone. Talk to him directly. Talk to him directly. That's what he wants. Especially those of your parents, those of you that are parents, you want your children coming to you about anything and talking to you. Have that open relationship with them, those open channels of communication. That's what he wants. But if they don't, you don't force them, and he doesn't force you. You get to choose. And you start that from when they're small. Keep those lines of communication open. Raising them in the proper way so that, hey, they always feel comfortable coming to you with anything. He's the perfect parent, so you try to emulate him. Will you fail, fall short? Sure. But you continue to do the best, and with his help, ask for his help. He will help you to be the best parent. And ask to teach your children his word, his truth, not your own, not somebody else's, his. So that veil is torn. You do not need to go to anybody else. So, and my suggestion would be to you. I mean, I think nothing is spiritual growth and never stopped until, I mean, I went to Catholic Church every week. I would say the rosary, I'd pray. I'd say, hey, I'm going to take a week, I'm going to take some time off. So I stopped going. And 8 months, 9 months, boy, things started to happen. And they're happening ever since.